for joining us on France 24. First of all, then, to what extent do you think this election will be a referendum on President Macron's handling of the coronavirus?
Well, I think in many ways, Laura, I think it probably is a referendum on Macron. And in particular, this is the first major test of his appeal to voters since the lockdown, of course. The French people are kind of gradually coming out of that process. And it's the first real challenge he's faced for some time. I mean, we're now, 3 years into his term of office as president. He controls the National Assembly, the Parliament in France. So it's a real test of his authority across the country. But as you say, particularly the likes of Marseille and Lyon, where surprising political parties like the Greens in particular are really pushing to take those cities. That's a real test for Macron. And it's also noticeable that in Paris, where Anne Hidalgo, the socialist incumbent, seems very likely to win again at the next round of the elections, very clear there that Macron's own party has failed to make any real sort of headway in Paris. And indeed across the whole of the country, really, it's a mixed picture for Macron's new political party, founded, of course, in 2017 to support his presidential election bid. So a very mixed picture for Macron and real challenges for him. Looking forward to this next round of voting on Sunday.
Now, as I mentioned, the races in several major cities could be pretty close run this Sunday. How much of a challenge are these cities, like Paris, like Lyon, like Marseille? How much of a challenge are they to Macron's power base?
Well, Macron doesn't really have a kind of traditional power base in the same way as the likes of the socialists or the centre-right party, the Republican Party. So he kind of doesn't really have that sort of base of activists in the same way as those traditional parties. And what he did in 2017 was to try to appeal to people from across the political spectrum, maybe didn't have any experience of being in politics before, to back him as this kind of outsider figure. He doesn't have the same sort of base as those other parties. So it's not really that it's a challenge to his base as such, but more a challenge to his popularity as an individual. And I really do think he'll struggle in cities where there is a strong left-wing presence, in Lille, for example, but elsewhere in Lyon, Marseille, where traditionally power has swung between the two major parties of centre-right and centre-left. In those cities, Macron doesn't really stand to gain anything at all. So it's a real challenge for him. But I really do think that this doesn't show that much progress for the centre-left or centre-right either. They're still reeling from the loss of the presidency in the case of the centre-left in 2017. And in the case of the centre-right, from the ongoing François Fillon scandal, which of course is still going on through the courts now. So although Macron may well fail to take many city mayor appointments or posts in the next few days, he doesn't really have any real sort of challenge to his own political authority as president as yet.
And just finally, what about this talk of a potential green wave this weekend? Where is this support for the green and environmental parties coming from?
So it's actually coming from relatively unusual cities. I know that the Greens are trying to take the likes of Tours, which traditionally is again a centre-right, centre-left kind of alternance, kind of switches between the two. So some cities in kind of relatively prosperous cities, I think, are looking to go to the Greens for a change. But I really think that the lockdown across Europe and indeed across the world has shown how kind of green matters and green issues have really risen to the surface. We had a period, of course, in Paris where pollution levels plummeted massively. This really, I think, has put the green issue back on the table. And the Greens have been around for a long time in France, but they've always failed to make any major headway. This might be the case. This next round, the final round of the local elections on Sunday, may be an opportunity for the Greens to really push that power base beyond kind of the sort of fringe party politics towards actually taking over some major cities. So that will be really interesting to see on Sunday.
David Lees, thank you very much.